All right. So look, Bennie Fowler, thank you for the time. Let's talk about first what I know about you, okay, and why I'm excited to talk to you every time I talk to you, but particularly about this topic. You are NFL wide receiver, Super Bowl champion. You've played with both of the Manning brothers. You caught, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but you caught the final pass of Peyton Manning's career.
Yep.
Later played with his brother Eli, right, on the Giants.
Yep.
So all of that, amazing. Best-selling author, Silver Spoon: The Imperfect Guide to Success. It's a great read. Also makes you #1 bestseller on Amazon. Very few people can say that. Currently playing for the Saints, and even with that, you got this podcast you're recording. You're building this online product. You're beginning a business as a high-performance coach. You're focused on helping executives make it to and win their metaphorical Super Bowl of whatever game they're playing, and helping professional athletes in every sport create life after pro sports that's even more fulfilling than the one they had as pro player. And on top of that, you're one of the most energetic, optimistic, nicest guys I've ever met, which it's an accomplishment in and of itself, considering how much you've achieved and how much you have on your plate. All of this is to say, from the outside, you are an incredibly accomplished guy.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it, man. It really is the truth. It really is the truth. And so with all of that, what I wanted to do with this conversation, as you know, is talk to people that are highly accomplished and propose this thought exercise, which is you set aside 30 minutes with your children. You sit down, you want to tell them what you've learned about thriving within life's challenges, the day-to-day challenges, the most difficult challenges. And you're going to share some stories with them. You're going to share some lessons. With that thought exercise, that's what we're talking about today. Where do you start?
Where do I start? I probably would start with something that was told to me a couple years ago by a guy by the name of Jamal Crawford. Jamal Crawford has played in the NBA for maybe 18, 19 years. And he was introduced to me through my high school basketball coach. And we went to go see him play. And we were able to talk to him after the game. And I was like, if you had to give me any advice, what would you give me? And he said, you got to go through it to get to it. And, times that I've had after he's told me that, to achieve anything in life, you're going to have to go through some things. So that's one of the first things that stands out into my mind, is that you got to go through it to get to it. And all the things that I've been able to achieve in my career, there have been ups and downs. There's been a lot of things that have gone on in those Super Bowl seasons, or winning the Rose Bowl, or anything that I've done in my life. It's been a rocky road, and it's just trying to stay the course. So that's one of the things that sticks out in my mind. If I had to tell somebody right now, if you're going to thrive, you got to go through it to get to it. So that's one of the things that sticks out right in my mind.
Yeah. And you don't have kids yet, but like you imagine like a younger version of yourself, your fiance, you look at them and they're like sitting back, I know I got to go through it to get to it, but it doesn't feel good. Like, I don't want to go through this, right? Like that's a hard. What do you encourage them with? What do you tell them?
I encourage them with possibilities. That's something that I've kind of just been thinking about if I retrack and look back at my career, when I've had foot surgery, or the times I was hurt at Michigan State, times where I've been benched early on in my career in college, or even my free throw moment, my sophomore year in high school, where I airballed the free throw in front of so many people. It's the positive possibilities that come out of it. Being optimistic, seeing what could actually come out of this. What's the great thing that's going to come out of this? There's always something great that comes out of adversity. Just right on the other side of adversity is success. It's just having to push through that. But if you're going through something tough, or if you're losing money, what's the positive outcome that could happen? And then you run with that. Don't look at the negative things. Run with the positive outcome. Like right now, with me what I just told you about my shoulder and me tearing my shoulder. What are the positive outcomes? All right. The negative outcome is that I have to have surgery and I'm out 6 to 9 months. The positives, I can see the game from a different perspective. I get to be around the game still. I get to see my teammates every day. I get to work on my business. There are just so many different things. So there are way more positive outcomes that I can look at and fix my mind on. But it's all about the positive possibilities within every situation, because in life, life is undefeated. There's no perfect day. There's no perfect year. There are going to be a lot more good things than bad. But at the end of the day, when you understand that life isn't going to be fair, that puts you in your mindset to look at the positive possibilities. Sean Payton, the head coach that, at the New Orleans Saints,
Right.
He told us something maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, that we are in a constant race to improve. And we're in a constant race to improve. And that's that you got to go through it to get to it. We got to improve every single day, regardless. If I gave somebody $100 million right now, if I gave you $100 million, you can't stop improving as a person. You have to continue to get better. Either you're getting better or you're getting worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, a couple of things hit me there. That this coach said we're in a constant race to improve, not a competition to win. And I'm sure he's got that on his mind too, right? Super Bowl. But if the only goal is win the Super Bowl, you either do that or you don't.
Right.
But if your goal is to win the race, to improve and to do it faster, that's not binary, right?
No.
Right. It's just, can you improve faster than before? Can you improve better, more, week over week? And so I love that concept. It's directional. It's not like so binary.
Yeah. If we're improving as a team every single day, then the outcome will take care of itself. We can't be outcome focused. If we're getting 1% better every single day and moving forward as a team, the Super Bowl will take care of itself.
Right. So this podcast is called Surfing the Chaos. It's it was a phrase that I just came up with, which was, life is chaotic. Like you said, it's not always fair. There's sometimes more bad than good, but you can learn to surf it, to rise above, to turn it into something that takes you somewhere. And you hit on something earlier that I wanted to get to later, but I'll just bring it up now, which is choice. You said you could see the positivity, but that's a choice, right? Mm-hmm. And so, or in my metaphor, to choose to get up and to surf it, right? To do this. Were you born this way, or did you learn it? And if you learned it, were you like, where did this come from? Because a lot of people would say, like, I'm wired. Like, that guy's so positive. That's just not who I am. I can't do that. What's your point of view on that?
I don't think anybody's born with just a positive outlook. I think it comes down to who your parents are, what you're around when you're growing up,
of course,
and what you see, and then who you surround yourself with as you get older, and you can make those choices. It comes back to choice. You and I talking once a month, that's a great relationship. That's us surrounding ourselves with the right people. And I think that's important, because I'm bouncing ideas off of you, you're bouncing ideas off of me, and we're just constantly moving forward and supporting one another. And we met in a coaching group. So we could easily not have talked or shared what we thought about one another because of, being scared, or, well, this guy might be competition. But no, it's not like that. That's not how we see things. So I see your outlook, and it motivates me and inspired me. So why would I not surround myself with this guy and catch up with him at least once a month? So I think that's what it comes down to in, my parents being positive, my brother, one of the strongest people who I dedicated my book to, being positive, and seeing people push through certain things. It shows you that, like, on the other side of, some tough times, there's some good times. There are good times ahead, but you have to continue to push through, and you have to really just surround yourself with the right people. Positive people.
Right. So, some people may be born more inclined to this. They may even have upbringings, parents. In your book, it's very clear your parents were really instilled this in you.
Hmm.
But even then, you continue to reinforce that, and like anything else, it's a workout, right? It's a practice,
Yeah.
not an inherent character. And so talk to me about. You brought up a few things. You mentioned your book, right? Missing the free throw, etc. Times when you were nearly at the point of giving up. I don't know if you've ever given up in your life, but like times where I felt like you really wanted to. You were at the end. What makes you want to keep going? What makes you? What do you?
The mirror test.
Mirror test.
The mirror test. Looking at myself in the mirror and being okay with who I am and what I wanted to accomplish. What did I set out to accomplish? And the mirror test is something I use in coaching. If you're going for something and you don't achieve it, can you look yourself in the mirror and say, did I give it all I had? And if you can do that, then you're fine. So the times where if I'm thinking about giving up, no, I have to look myself in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get over this? Will I be okay if I let this subside or don't go after it? And if I look myself in the mirror and I'm like, no, I can't do it. I got to push through this, or I won't be able to sleep at night.
Right.
And sometimes when people hear that from athletes or other people, like I wouldn't be able to sleep. No, I'm seriously. If you look at yourself in the mirror and be like, did I give it my all in that? And that uncomfortable feeling in your chest or your stomach, that'll make you push through.
Right. Because you don't want to live with that. You don't want to betray yourself. You really, but I think, am I hearing this? The mirror test is almost like the space to pause and really go through that exercise. Really ask yourself that question. Imagine yourself, if I heard you correctly, as if you do give up and say, do I like that version of myself? Or can I live with that? Is that correct?
Yes, it's sitting with yourself, because at the end of the day, sometimes we do things for the fame or to impress other people, but that never makes us happy. What only makes us happy is if we're happy with ourselves. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's a mirror test, because it's just you.
Yeah.
And it's that reflection. And it's that reflection like, yeah, I can live with myself. I tried. I'm proud of who I'm becoming.
Right. Let's go further. Times you almost gave up. In my metaphors here, from chaos, there must have been times where, man, you just got beat over the head. Wave just smashed you to the ground. You ate sand, surfboard, smash over your head. There's no choosing to move forward or not. That's it. At that point, whatever that thing is, right? Regardless of whether you share what that scenario is, what do you have when it feels like you don't have a choice, right? At the circumstances, you can't choose to keep going. Have you encountered that outright? Have you dealt with that? Talk me through that.
Yeah, I've encountered that where, maybe last year I got off to my best start with the Giants and I didn't finish that season with the Giants. When they released me with maybe 6 games left and they didn't say anything. It wasn't, they were like, you didn't do anything wrong. This is just kind of where we're going as a team. And I'm like, well, why are you guys picking me? Mm-hmm. So I can't get back on a team until a team wants to sign me. So that was a moment like, all right, well, what do I do? Well, I continued to work out and stayed ready. I didn't get a call, but that's when I pivot to start my coaching business and look at life after football and put my life in my own hands instead of somebody else's. So yes, I wanted to go back and try to finish the season, but I didn't have the opportunity. Nobody called and picked up the phone and said they wanted me. So I start my own business and become an entrepreneur, and I learn about a different space to where I call the shots.
Right.
So yeah, I wanted somebody to pick me back up, but nobody was picking me back up. And then me working out and being a good person led me to working out with Drew Brees, which led me to getting signed with the New Orleans Saints. So everything happens for a reason. As long as whatever you want in life, and I believe in God, whatever you want in life and whatever you pray for, be ready for that blessing to come, because you don't know when it's going to come. Right. So I wanted to get back on a team, and it didn't happen during last season, but it happened right before this season started. And because I was ready, I was able to take advantage of it.
I know. Yeah. We were just catching up, and I said, what's the latest? You're like, I'm off to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like 4 hours as soon as we wrap this call. Where did that come from? Yeah. But there's an important thing here. Always coming up now. Choice. Mm-hmm. It's this constant observation and belief that I have a choice here, which I don't think a lot of people realize. Like, they kind of forfeit. They feel like life is happening to them, but they don't have a choice. And your point is, and you didn't bring this up explicitly in what you would tell your children, but you always have a choice. You always, always, always have a choice. If it doesn't look like you have one, just keep looking and you'll find that choice. Talk me through that. Talk me through like where that came from, why that is so important to you.
Choice, it means a lot, and like you said, it's very important, but I think it comes from taking a step back and reflecting. Because sometimes when we're just so in the moment of life, it's just going back and forth, and we never take time to stop.
Right.
And stopping brings all those ideas, all those great ideas. I mean, if you think about, we haven't talked in 3 weeks, and we both get on the phone, and so much has happened in our lives.
Yeah.
And then we can finally, when we're talking to each other, we're reflecting on so much that has happened. But we're taking the time to actually stop and think about, like, all right, what's been actually going on? So that's where that choice comes from. It comes like, from your intuition, but it comes from actually just stopping and just relaxing and seeing, all right, well, what's happened? How did I get to this moment? Let's retrace the steps. And then you can design some things for yourself and figure out, like, well, I like this or I like that. There's so many different things. And then if your plan A is strong enough, that's what I would tell my kids. If your plan A is super strong, it'll lead to your plan B.
I love that. Your plan A is strong enough, it'll lead to your plan B. And what you just said about stopping, that's also crucial, because I think you reminded me of something that I forget. And maybe it's one of the several things I get from meditation, is that sometimes we forget we've got a choice. Like, we're just running on the assumption as if we have many choices even at every single moment. And your point is, when you're going from one thing to another, you're reacting, you're just taking in and moving on. You need that space to stop, to even realize you got a choice, much less figure out what those choices are. And,
absolutely.
And I like that. What are you still learning? What haven't you figured out? Again, at the beginning, highly accomplished guy, super positive, you got all this, great advice. What haven't you figured out yet?
The mind, life. I haven't really figured out anything. I'm just scratching the surface. I'm learning constantly every single day. I learn more through conversation and connections with people such as yourself. And I think that's super important. You can read all the books in the world. You have to have the conversations and the real life experiences, the things that you and I have talked about, and just how much I've learned from you through business and working with CEOs and high performers and high level people. It's a lot different than the high performers that I work with and see. Intellectually, the people that you work with in the grind, like, I feel like we grind, but your grind is so much different, and it's so much the same. It's I think that there's just so many different things so I'm constantly learning. I feel like I've figured out just a small amount, but I'm always constantly learning.
Yeah, the wise man knows he knows nothing, right?
Yeah, right.
I love that. What else? We got to call 5-10 more minutes. Mm-hmm. What? Just to recap, you said you've got this. You got if I sit down for 30 minutes with my children, my future children,
Mhm.
and I say, life's going to be tough, you got to go through it to get to it. You have to remain positive, always. Choose to be positive. You have to remember, pause, stop, to recognize you got a choice, sort those choices out.
I when hearing you say that, recapping on the things I said, if I had to start this conversation over, I would come from a different point of view, and I would tell my future kids that whatever they want to do in this world, they can do. They can achieve anything they want to if they put their mind to it. Instead of having a fear-based approach, you got to go through it to get to it, because that's what that sounds like to me in my mind. You got to go through it to get to it is a fear-based approach. Like, all right, life's going to suck. Now you got to go through this. Instead, the world is going to be amazing. It is what you make it. Have fun with it, but you can do whatever you want.
Right.
As long as you set your mind to it. That's a better way I would reframe that.
That's fair. No. Keep going.
No, that was it. But it's just a better way to reframe it, because sometimes the language is so important, especially when talking to kids.
For sure. No, you're right. And no, but the reason you started there was the thought exercise, which does talk about life's most difficult situations. It's the assumption that that's where we're starting is the tough part. So you're right, though. So add to that, not only do you have to go through to get to it, you can do and have whatever you want.
Yeah, you can have whatever you want.
You've got to have that positivity. You've got to have that constant stop, pause. Remember, you've got a choice. Look at those choices. It's your responsibility to own that choice. Surround yourself with people and situations that will nurture that positivity, that will remind you when you forget you have that choice, that will inspire you to choose when you don't have it. And then when it really comes to you and you feel like you don't want to keep going, mirror test.
Yeah.
Mirror test. Anything else you'd add to this list, man?
I always say that the biggest room in the world is room for improvement. And, it goes back to that we're constantly in a race to improve. And I feel like that's where the real satisfaction is seeing yourself get better as a person every single day. And then looking back at a year and like, wow, like I've grown. I'm not perfect, but I'm a lot better than I was. And who I was at the beginning of my career and who I am now, like I'm super proud of those steps. And I'm super proud of the work that I'm putting in and that I will continue to put in. Because when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm proud of who I am and who I'm becoming. And that has nothing to do with the accolades. That has something to do with how I'm treating people and how I'm in the relationships and me giving back.
Right. It's not the outcome, it's the process itself. Right. Yeah. I mean, look, a lot like thinking ultimate outcome. I want to have a Superbowl ring. You got that, right? But when you achieve that, now what? You got to keep going. If everything's anchored on that, okay, let's say you lose, you don't catch that pass, whatever happens. Well, it's pretty binary. It's actually a lose-lose situation. You lose the game, well, you feel like crap. You win the game, you feel good for a little bit, and then what?
Yeah,
that's a losing. That whole outcomes based. So then your focus is, instead of I'm winning a championship, this is the championship and that's the day and it's your other way to lose. It's I'm running a race every day to improve.
Yeah, and absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because after the championship, even if, like you said, if you win, great. If you lose, great. But either way, both teams have to start over. Literally start over the next season. Right. The championship doesn't carry over to the next year, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, you're the champion, so everything's going to be easy for you now." The Broncos haven't been back to the Super Bowl since we won. I mean, been back to the playoffs since we won. That's how hard it is to get back. So,
right.
It's not a knock on them as a team, but that's just how hard it is because of, winning. When you win, everybody wants you. Everybody wants the players off your team, the coaches, the front office. So it's hard.
Last words on this, on anything. which is your encouragement, your advice to those people that are going through some challenging, they're really in the chaos. What do you tell them? What's encouraging? What do you want to say?
The prize is in the journey. The prize is in the journey. And that's, something I wear on my wrist every single day. And it's from my late friend, Michael Sadler, who passed away in 2016 in a car accident that I played with at Michigan State. And I'm on the board of his foundation. And his mom came up with that slogan. It's something I wear on my wrist, just as a reminder that, when you are going through those tough times, that's where the real prize is. Like winning a Super Bowl, that was real cool. But what we had to go through that season was actually the most rewarding part, because every time we got hit with adversity, we responded. So when you get hit with adversity, when you push through, that's where the real prize is. I was crying after the Super Bowl, and I've never really cried as an adult in my life, but it wasn't about actually winning the Super Bowl. It was about being undrafted, making the team, being in my role, and then that led to me playing with Peyton, which led to me catching his last pass. It was just so many different things that led to all that emotion. But the real prize was me not giving up on my dream. Like going undrafted, I could have just been like, all right, well, maybe it's not in the cards for me to play in the NFL.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I love it. The prize is in the journey. With that, man, we're going to wrap this. Enjoy your day. Thank you so much.
appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too.